Hello? Oh, is this thing or is so anyway, this is the Above It All program, your favorite pre-recorded program in the history of pre-recorded programs, where I bite my tongue on accident. Oh man, I bit my tongue. Can you see that? There's like a little spot. Man, that hurt. So we're gonna be talking about the news today. I apologize. In advance, today's show will probably be a little bit shorter than my typical show, but in my defense, I went a little bit longer for my typical show for the Left Past 10 program, which, by the way, you should check out. I know some people don't like the more than one person thing, I guess. I don't but I think it's okay. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So, and that's something to do. It's balance out a little bit. This one's going to be a lot more intense and a lot more just whatever it is I feel like saying, and that one's going to be a little bit more chill, a little bit more enjoyable for people who don't like to be stimulated, or at least don't necessarily want to be stimulated at certain times. So go check that out. But today I'm in a little bit of a mellow mood. I'm feeling a little bit, relaxed. I'm feeling a little bit, that could change. This might accidentally turn into a 5-hour show. But I got a couple news stories here, and don't worry, we're not going to be talking about Israel. We're not going to be talking about COVID. We're not going to be talking about any of that horse fucking shit, okay? But instead of what we're going to be talking about, because this is a news show and we talk about the news here on this new show, is we're going to be talking about some important stuff. Are you planning on voting next year for the presidential primary? Because apparently it's happening. So, register to vote, man. Come on, man. Now, I'm going to talk about this subject. I might get in trouble. It's possible. Some people might put me in trouble. I've been seeing a lot of discourse about, especially in the wake of the Israel-Palestine stuff, about how, oh man, you shouldn't be voting for Joe Biden because he supports Israel. These are the same motherfuckers who believe Joe Biden ended the COVID pandemic, right? Like that. I know they believe that. They sincerely believe that Joe Biden cured COVID, I guess, in the same way that Joe Biden cured cancer. Remember when Joe Biden said he cured cancer? They believe it. But like Israel-Palestine is a bridge too far. And it's like, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden because I am morally principled. And you're seeing a lot of this hand-wringing stuff. But I got bad news for those guys. Because it turns out you're not going to be able to. New Hampshire's 2024 primary will take place on January 23. What they're not saying in the headline is that Joe Biden will not be on the ballot. So, now obviously, of course, Joe Biden is still going to be the Democratic nominee. But this is just like for fun. We're just having fun here, okay, man? Okay, motherfucker. We're just having a little bit of fun. Little giggles and gaggles here at Above It All Industries. But let's check this out. New Hampshire will hold its first in the nation presidential primary on January 23. Now, the thing I always thought was weird about it is, like, it's in state law. They say this somewhere. Under state law, New Hampshire must hold its primary before any other state primary. But then here, the primary is now scheduled to take place about 1 week after Iowa holds its Republican caucus on January 15. So, like, this whole, like, caucus versus primary thing, I'm not going to lie, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Now, before the pandemic, I would have argued that caucuses may have had some value that is not represented in a primary. Now, I still believe that primaries are more important than caucuses, especially if anyone remembers this one. I feel like I'm a crazy person sometimes for just having like a functional memory, but like, does anyone remember in the 2020 Iowa caucus when Pete Bumfuck Shit for Brains cocksucker declared victory like Trump style? Like, this is before the January 6th stuff. This is before, like, you know, the Trump stuff, right? Pete Buttigieg practiced it, and Democrats fell in line. I mean, I figure if you even look it up now, you might see people who genuinely believe that Pete Buttigieg won the Iowa caucus in 2020, which is not true. He lost. He lost to Bernie Sanders. Now, he lost in the vote count, and I think most people acknowledge he lost in the vote count. But some people will claim he like won by like a state delegate equivalent, some made up number. And it turns out that all of those state delegate equivalents that made the difference were decided by coin tosses. Yeah, coin tosses in the Iowa caucus. Do you remember this? Maybe you're a little younger. Maybe you don't remember 2020. That was a while ago now. I feel old. Does anyone remember 2016? Oh, God! That was my first election, so, you know, I can't go any further back. I mean, I can, you know, I've looked at history and stuff like that, but I wasn't an eligible voter back then in 2012. But, so, like, coin tosses were what, like, ostensibly gave, like, Pete Buttigieg, like, a half a point above Bernie Sanders, if you believe that the point system even matters at all, right? And then, of course, you know, there's also, there were not even claims, but there were, like, photographs. There were photographs of the caucus sheets. Now, if you don't know what a caucus is versus a primary is where you, like, do a ballot. It's an election. Whereas a caucus is, like, a little weirder. Like, you go into a room and you talk to people. Yeah, they were doing this in 2020 because Joe Biden, if you remember, genocide Joe Biden, who is at this point killed well over 1 million, going on 2 million Americans from his COVID policy, was demanding in-person elections during the start of the 2020 primary, even after COVID started to become a worldwide issue. Of course, it started in China and some other stuff, then went to Europe, and then became like a worldwide issue in early 2020, late 2019, right? But even after like the United States declared, like, oh man, we got to watch out about COVID stuff, Joe Biden was still demanding in-person primaries. I know I'm getting a little tangent here. Just bear with me. Just bear the fuck with me, okay? This is how my show works. And so anyway, when they were doing the caucuses, they basically they talk, and then they have multiple rounds of voting, so you have the opportunity to change your mind or some shit. And then there's like voter thresholds where it's like if you don't get like 10% or whatever, then you get 0 or so. Like, it's a lot of really weird ass rules. And it essentially revolves around like keeping track of stuff on a piece of paper, like with pen and pencil. And then like tallying things up later. And there were a bunch of election workers working with the Bernie Sanders campaign who took photos of these mathematical papers, right? So now, again, you want to argue about the efficacy and validity of a coin toss. Like, okay, whatever. Pete Buttigieg won the coin toss, therefore he wins, right? Okay, sure. If you want to be that fucking stupid, okay, fine. But then there were also these photographs of the sheets that came out. And, you know, I probably should have prepared all this, but this is not the kind of show I do. I don't do these fucking prepared documentaries here. This is just me telling stories. But these photographs showed that there were mathematical errors. Like, so Pete Buttigieg, like, gained delegate equivalents, right? Again, what the fuck is that, right? It's like a cryptocurrency, but somehow less meaningful. And so like Pete Buttigieg got state delegate equivalents with faulty math. And then if you remember, if I remember correctly, but if you also remember, maybe someone could back me up, there was like the state Democratic Party chair of Iowa came out and did like a speech about how they saw these photographs and they said they will not be amending the mathematical errors. So it's like, it's essentially like 2 plus 2 equals 7, therefore Pete Buttigieg wins. But if 2 plus 2 equaled 4, like it does in the real world, Bernie Sanders would win, right? And they just wanted to pretend that Pete Buttigieg won. And then before, by the way, just before all the counting was done, Pete Buttigieg walked out on stage and said, Iowa, you've shocked the nation, right? And like this weird, and I remember it was like, I remember that night, right? Because it was, 2020. I was a participant in the Bernie campaign, and it was a big day. And then, like, it was that weird Iowa, you shocked the nation. And then all the weird shit with the math came out, and then the coin tosses. And it's like they totally just fucking cheated. They cheated in that bullshit because it was a caucus, right? Don't worry, I'll get back to New Hampshire in a second here. And then later, of course, Donald Trump does the same shit in November of that year, and Democrats are somehow up in arms about it. Oh my goodness, how dare this good man, this fine gentleman Donald Trump, how dare he do that thing that Pete Buttigieg did that I adored, right? Because Democrats are fucking stupid, of course. But this is all to say, what the fuck is a caucus? And then also to say, like, under state law, New Hampshire must hold its primary before any other state's primary, but Iowa has a caucus a week before. So is a caucus different from a primary? If that's the case, why are they doing a caucus and not a primary? And also, like, what the fuck are these rules, man? So I'm gonna give you a little bit more, and by that I'm gonna give you some, like, more than zero details here. New Hampshire will hold its first in the nation presidential primary on January 23, putting the state at odds with the National Democrats and President Joe Biden, who will not appear on the ballot. So. Now, obviously, Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. They can rig it 15 ways till Sunday. They did it in 2016. They did it in 2020. They're going to do it in 2024. It doesn't matter if Cenk Ugart's running. It doesn't matter if Marianne Williamson is running. It doesn't matter if fucking whatever that guy's name is running. I don't know. None of that matters. They're just going to fucking cheat because, again, as a court ruled after 2016, the DNC is a private entity and they can cheat if they want to because it's not technically a United States election, and so therefore they're not under the same laws when it comes to elections, right? So they can cheat. They will. They've done it pretty much every cycle that I've been an adult in. I'm sure if you went back in time and analyzed past primaries with a fine-tooth comb, you could find other examples of some fuckery. But I'll let that for my elders to take over for. But let's keep going. New Hampshire Secretary of State David Scanlan made the announcement Wednesday at the State House in Concord. Quote, "We did not take the first in the nation status from anyone, and we will vigorously defend it," Scanlan said in front of a bipartisan group that included the state's GOP governor, Chris Sununu, stupid fucking name, and the chairs of the New Hampshire Republican and Democratic parties. The primary is now scheduled to take place about 1 week after Iowa holds its Republican caucuses on January 15th. Again, what the fuck? Are you first in the nation or not? Like, I don't like this primary caucus distinction. When it comes to the primary season, they're treated the same, right? The state delegate equivalents or whatever the fuck that they did, like, translates to actual delegates that actually get used in the election, even though it's an election held by a private company, right? Right? So, but it's like, what the fuck? Are you first in the nation or not? Like, this is the thing. If you're first in the nation, to me, you should be before fucking Iowa. Oh, I just knocked my microphone. Does anyone see that? Holy mackerel. You should be before Iowa. If you're first in the nation, are you first in the nation or not, right? So, like, this whole, like, I just don't get it. Like, this whole, we're in the first primary in the nation as they're the second one. Like, I don't know, man. Like, everyone involved is really fucking stupid here. That's all I can say about that one. But let's keep going. While the Republican contest in New Hampshire will be recognized by the National Party, the January 23 day will make the state's Democratic Party non-compliant with a Democratic National Committee's revamped nominating calendar. That will likely cost the state delegates to the National Convention next summer. So what they're doing is, if I remember correctly, now again, I was not a voter in 2008. I was like fucking 10 years old or 12 I think. Maybe, I think. In 2008. So someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just, my elders might know this one. But if I remember correctly, by reading things after the fact. In 2008, I think it was like Florida, I think got fucked over by the DNC, or was it like Michigan? It was one of those states. I think it was either Florida or Michigan or both. I don't know. They got their delegate count like fucked up by the DNC or whatever. So, they're doing that again. They're basically saying the New Hampshire primary isn't valid. Essentially, that's what they're saying. The DNC is like, y'all can vote, but you're all voting for nothing. So, right, so check this out, because Biden's campaign told the New Hampshire Democratic Party last month that he won't be on the primary ballot next year because he was obligated to comply with the DNC's delegate rules. It would be a violation of those rules for Biden or any Democrat to campaign in such an early contest. I mean, this whole thing, man, is really fucking stupid. But you want to know why this is happening? It's because the Democrats, once again, want to rig another primary. They just want to keep it fucking going. Rig it, baby, rig it. And what they're doing is they want to have South Carolina leapfrog New Hampshire. Why? Because Joe Biden did really well in South Carolina in the last primary because... Now, dare I say, I've gotten in trouble for saying what I'm about to say historically, but I'm going to say it again, maybe with a little bit nicer ways. But because South Carolinian Democrats are fucking stupid, they're dumb, they're uneducated, stupid fuckers, and they voted for Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders. That makes you a dumbass. Now, again, we can talk about should Bernie have campaigned harder in South Carolina in 2016, in 2020? Yes, he should have. That's a whole thing. We can have that conversation. I agree. Bernie dropped the fucking ball. That said, if you are faced with the selection Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and you choose Joe Biden, you are a fucking moron. I don't care. A lot of Democrats love to say, oh, well, South Carolinian Democrats, majority black. And that gives them a shield, I guess. If you're black, you get to do stupid fucking shit and we're not allowed to criticize you, I guess. So we're not allowed to talk about that, right? But it is a matter of fact, South Carolina is a Republican state, and even the Democrats in South Carolina are really fucking stupid and they're right-wing morons. Either that or they're pathetic cowards. Now, again, we can talk, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Feel free to fucking cancel me. I don't give a shit. But again, so Joe Biden's trying to we won it last time. Let's just make them the first fucking state that defies New Hampshire's fucking state law, I guess. Just to cheat. They don't want to leave anything up in the air. They want to just rig this fucking contest and get it out of the way early. And it's a little bonkers. I'm going to be honest. The whole DNC thing is a little fucking bonkers, man. Just the way that people, just take what the Democrats say at face value and say, oh, yeah, all right. They just don't question it. Again, the fucking Iowa thing, last cycle, that was crazy. That was crazy. And we're still doing this kind of weird fake shit. So now New Hampshire's primary, is either going to have little delegation, so they're going to get sanctioned in a way where it's they get half the representation that they normally have, or they're going to get no representation. But it's okay because it's the Democracy Party. Yeah, the Democratic Party is the one saying that the entire state of New Hampshire is not going to be allowed to vote in the presidential primary because they want to cheat. And New Hampshire says, I don't think you should cheat on this one. I mean, you're that's the thing is Joe Biden is polling, even though everyone hates him, everyone's going to vote for him in the primary. Right. So it's the idea that Joe Biden is, as an incumbent president, is such in a risky position of losing in the first couple of contests to the point where they're going to try to cheat that shit before it even happens. That's insane to me that they're going to do all this fucking garbage for no reason. Right. That's fucking crazy. It really is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just really have no faith in Biden. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be New Hampshire, election results, and it's going to be Marianne Williamson, 87%, Joe Biden, 5%, because you can still write him in, and then, I don't know. I mean, what the fuck? What are we supposed to be thinking here? It's just bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. It's really strange. But there's a little bit of fun stuff for you. Joe Biden will not be on the ballot in New Hampshire, so that's interesting. And again, I just want to say it again. If you're a Democrat, I don't give a shit what your reason was. We all have these make pretend, stupid reasons we do dumb shit. You know, like, oh, you ask someone why they hit their kid or whatever, and they say, well, my mom hit me. You know, like that kind of stuff. You know, like people come up with dumb reasons to excuse their stupid fucking behavior all the fucking time, right? So it's like, I don't give a shit. If you voted for Joe Biden instead of Bernie Sanders in South Carolina, you're just dumb. I don't care. I don't fucking give a shit about, oh, well, they have a right to this opinion. No, you don't. If your opinion is fucking dumb, you're fucking dumb. Enough of this fucking whining about everyone has a right to opinion. Give me a fucking break. South Carolina is a right-wing state with a right-wing Democratic Party and a really fucking bad Democratic Party because Republicans somehow still beat them all the time, even though they're a very right-wing Democratic Party, right? And it's why are we letting a red fucking state with a bunch of stupid fucking morons? Now, again, there's a lot of great people in South Carolina. I'm not saying every single person in South Carolina is a fucking idiot, though. I know of people in South Carolina that are fucking idiots, and I may or may not be on a panel show with them once a week. But, you know, again, it's just like this whole thing where we have to pretend like all of this is like, oh, well, you know, yeah, it's New Hampshire's not going to be able to vote because the DNC is essentially making up a new rule that New Hampshire never consented to and said you either have to obey us or you're not allowed to participate in the election. Like, what the fuck? All so that we can have the dumbest group of Democrats in the country have the first official primary? Really? Right? Really? We're doing this for the dumbest group of Democrats in the country? Like, fuck me, man. All to rig a primary for like a 97-year-old fucking idiot? Jesus, motherfuck. So anyway, there's your segment on voting and elections. Oh, I started this segment by saying I'm going to get in trouble for saying one thing. I will vote for Joe Biden in the general election. I will vote for whoever the Democrat is. A lot of people are going around and, you know, doing their fucking little crybaby, oh my God, Joe Biden's so bad, as if Trump is any fucking better or whatever. And as if voting for Joe Biden is some like moral fucking statement. Like, if anyone says like, I know, people are already fucking triggered, or they're not. Like, if you're going to get triggered, you're already triggered, but just bear with me. I know logic is thrown out the window the moment these motherfuckers hear the words vote blue no matter who. And I get it. I understand the criticism. But I'm an anybody but Biden voter in the primary. And I'm an anybody but the Republican voter in the general. But also, guess what? Voting is not the only way you engage in politics. So anyone who's trying to sell you on how your vote is so meaningful and special and you're going to remember it for the rest of your life and, you know, like all this fucking shit, like, these are people that don't do fucking anything about politics other than voting. And they think that voting is the only extension of yourself engaging in politics. I don't agree with that. I do a show where I talk about politics. I despise the Democratic Party. I despise Joe Biden. I make that abundantly clear on like a daily, I guess now a weekly basis. But the idea that letting Donald Trump win the election is somehow, like, again, we did this experiment in 2016. Right now, again, 2016 was my first election. So this is where I have like real time, like, you know, historical understanding. You know, everything else before that, you know, like before like 2014-ish, you know, it's just kind of like haphazard. I wasn't of voting age. I didn't really pay attention to it because I couldn't vote, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I just can't with this fucking shit because we ran this experiment in 2016. People said, oh, Hillary Clinton rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders. Correct. That's a truthful statement. If that upsets you, cry about it. And then we'll not vote for Hillary. We'll vote for Jill Stein. And I'll tell you this. I voted for Jill Stein in 2016. I lived in Maryland at the time, so it didn't matter. Just, you know, every presidential election I've ever voted for, I'm in a different state. Can you believe it? That's weird. I mean, I wonder if I'm going to keep this trend up. Anyway, and guess what? Jill Stein, the Green Party, everyone was promising me, a dumbass, like 19, 20-year-old, whatever, like, you know, we're gonna teach Hillary a lesson. Did that happen? Did Hillary learn a lesson? Did the Democratic Party learn a lesson? No, these dumb motherfuckers got Joe Biden the next fucking round. So there was no lesson learned. And we're just gonna and if you're doing this bullshit, let's have Trump win another fucking election. Like, as if like, oh, this time the Democrats are really gonna learn a lesson. I mean, give me a fucking break. Sell that snake oil somewhere else, you dumb motherfuckers. So now again, with all that being said, I think electoralism is a red herring. People focus way too much on voting. Now again, I'm not saying you shouldn't vote. I think you should vote, and you should vote for the lesser of any evil. That has a chance of winning. I know, asterisk, right? Can you believe it? But like, that's not politics. Politics and voting is like one fucking plank on a fucking goddamn like floorboard of like a fucking dance studio or some fucking shit. You know, like, you know, they got those big ass rooms and there's a lot of floorboards. I don't know what I'm saying here. You know, and so like when people just spend all that, who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to vote? It matters in the primary, but not this cycle because there's an incumbent president. Now, again, I still think you should vote for Marianne or Cenk or Dean fucking whatever the fuck his name is. Just vote for anybody but Biden. Vote for fucking Harambe. Remember that one? Or is my audience too young for that? I don't know. It's the dumbest fucking meme in the history of the world. But just, you know, anybody but Biden in the primary because that's how you actually resist. But again, the idea that letting Trump win a general election is going to teach Democrats a lesson. I mean, I'm sorry, man, but like, we've been there, we've done that. Can you fucking come up with a new scam? Can you come up with a new fucking scam? So, thank you, sincerely, everyone that's tired of hearing of this shit. So, there you go. But while we're talking about Washington, D.C., I guess in some abstract kind of way, I want to talk once again about Israel and Palestine. I know. People are like, oh, why do you always talk about war? Oh, my God. How dare you talk about war? I want you to talk about puppies and rainbows or whatever you fucking motherfuckers think a news show is supposed to be. So check out this headline here. Capitol Police confront fallout from violent protest at Democratic headquarters. The Hills police force has been on edge after recent assaults on lawmakers and the January 6th insurrection. So that's not true. So like Politico is just, this is Politico. They're lying. Now, first of all, if you remember the January 6th insurrection, what year was that? Oh, right. It was 2021. And so the previous year in 2020, you may have heard of this thing called Black Lives Matter doing protests all across the country. And Black Lives Matter in Washington, D.C. was met with extraordinary violence from police. Right? So the idea that like January 6th afterward or what, like January 7th and onward, Capitol Police got their shit together, that's not true. It's lit. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of white people too. Shout out to the white people out there. But there's a lot of non-white people in this photo here at this, you know, and you can look up other photos. I'm just saying, right? And also, what are they advocating for? Not killing innocent kids, right? Because the status quo is murder as many innocent children as possible. And they're going against that, right? So they're not white supremacists, like on January 6th. If you're a white supremacist, if you're a neo-Nazi, if you're an insurrectionist, you get to walk right into the building. If you're black, if you're against killing innocent people, guess what? You get cops beating the shit out of you, right? And so this also calls it a violent protest. It was not a violent protest at all, even remotely. If you look at videos, now again, I could show you the videos, but you know what? Honestly, I want you to pause this fucking shit and go look at them yourself, you know? Like, I don't want to necessarily be fucking responsible for fucking curating everything for you. Do your own goddamn fucking research. Look at some videos from this protest. Now, is screaming violence? If screaming is violence, then, you know, I guess it was a violent protest. But essentially what it was a bunch of Jewish peace activists essentially just body blocking the DNC headquarters and basically saying ceasefire now. To claim that that's violence is absurd and it's a lie, but they're going to say it anyway because I guess they're fucking stupid, I guess, right? Like, because we live in fuckville. We live in the dumbest fucking timeline in the history of dumbass fucking timelines. But let's read what Politico has to say, just, you know, for the fucking, like, freak factor of the whole thing. The Capitol Police announced that a protest that turned violent outside the Democratic Party headquarters. Now, again, what does that mean, it turned violent? Oh, that means cops started beating the fucking shit out of innocent people, and they started trying to run away or, like, rescue their friends from abusers, right? So I have a question. If someone beats the fucking shit out of your friend, right, and you're right there, and like, let's say you went to the vending machine to get a candy bar, you turn around, your friend's getting his fucking teeth kicked in, and you run over and push the guy off, is that violence? Huh? Right, so if a cop is brutally assaulting somebody and dislocating all the bones in their body and ripping their fucking, like, arms apart, and you're like, hey, get the fuck off of my friend, is that violence? And if so, who started the violence? As always, police. That's why we call them police riots, as opposed to riots. A lot of people just call them riots, but you got to be specific. Who are the groups of people rioting? It's always the police. Those, or maybe if it's a Super Bowl or something, it's sports fans. Did I get a fucking phone signal? I thought I had that disabled. Shit scared the fuck out of me. Holy hell. Did you hear that? I mean, Jesus. I'm gonna disable this now. I don't like this fucking thing. You ever, like, you know, with like cell phone OS, you know, operating system, like, what's the deal with those? Anyway, a group of protesters advocating for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Now, again, it's not an Israel-Hamas war. It is an Israeli genocide of innocent babies and adults. And, you know, people like to emphasize the babies that are being killed, but I mean, most adults probably don't deserve to be killed either. You may hear NPC mode people like talk about women and children. The women and children. What is this, fucking 1873? Women and children? What the fuck? You know? But hey, whatever. Innocent people are being slaughtered for no reason, and they killed like 20 Hamas guys? You know, so it's not a war. A war is like a multi-sided thing here. It's just a genocide. It's a slaughter. It's a Holocaust. It's not a war. But hey, you know, they got to flatten the power dynamic. Otherwise, no one would believe the drivel. Had blocked an entrance to the headquarters located just blocks from the Capitol, prompting police to attempt to clear the protesters out of the way. The USCP, Capitol Police, said in a statement the group had failed to obey our lawful orders to move back from the DNC. So where's the violence, right? Even in this description, where's the violence? The police and protesters have issued conflicting reports about the nature of the demonstration, with police saying the attendees had become violent after the officers tried to remove them, resulting in attendees pepper spraying officers. Now, again, if a man is going to put their hands on me and I have pepper spray, I don't give a fuck who you are. That's my purse. I don't know you. Okay, motherfucker? But that said, the police are saying attendees had become violent after officers tried to remove them. Tried to remove them? How did they try to remove them? With fucking violence! By assaulting them, by pushing them, by punching them. You can look at the videos. I saw the videos. You can see the videos with a simple Google search, right? And that's what happened, okay? Officers started beating the shit out of people for no fucking reason, and then people started to defend themselves. That's even what the fucking cops are saying. Even the cops are saying they initiated the violence. And what is the Politico headline? Capitol Police confront fallout from violent protest at Democratic headquarters, right? Now, again, you can read this in multiple different ways. They confront fallout, so the Capitol Police are under fire from a violent protest, right? But if you don't know the context, if you don't know anything about what's going on, you're going to assume that the cops are being reprimanded by SJWs or woke activists for, you know, quelling a fucking Black Lives Matter riot or whatever the fuck. But and then you read, and that's not actually what happened. Even they're saying it in the article. But again, no one actually reads articles, right? So, like, that's the thing. That's how media fucking manipulates you. Let's look at some of these quotes, because we have some quotes from Democrats that are fucking insane. Rep. Sean Casten, D. ill. I mean, this motherfucker is definitely ill, but not dill, like the pickle, which I appreciate. By the way, if anyone out there eats sweet pickles, I suggest getting mental health care as soon as possible. It's just throwing that one out there. Said on X, formerly known as Twitter. What is this bullshit? He said it on Twitter. He didn't say it on X. What the fuck is X, dude? Mega Man X? You know, you ever see that fucking shit? It's a cool-ass game. Formerly known as Twitter. My asshole. It's currently known as Twitter. That blocking the entrances put protesters and others at risk. He was one of the lawmakers present at the fundraiser. So, what? blocking entrances put protesters and others at risk. Isn't that the kind of the point? That's like saying like someone's in line at like the fucking hot dog stand, and then like someone walks next to them and says, if you keep standing in line, you might actually get to order a hot dog. I know. Can you believe? Like, you know, what? What? Right? Like, what the fuck? Now, it's not like someone saying, oh, you know, hot dogs are unhealthy. Maybe you should go, maybe I would suggest a different fucking food choice. No. They're saying, hey, you're third in line. If you keep this up, you might be second in line. What? Like, I mean, what the fuck? Quote, we were rescued by rescued. Give me a fucking break. We were rescued by armed officers. What is that, armed officers? Like, why do you even feel the need to say that? Who did not know the protesters' intent. What? Yes, they did. They're screaming ceasefire now. What? Like, I mean, again, they just, like, they know you're fucking stupid. And that's the thing. Most Americans are stupid enough that they're not going to see through this shit. They knew only the members of Congress were inside, could not leave, and the protesters not let police through. So the giant banners that say ceasefire now and the motherfuckers with megaphones saying ceasefire now. Hey, we didn't know. You didn't know? You didn't fucking know? What? What? Like, this is like going to the fucking salad bar. Like, imagine going to a salad bar during a pandemic. You know, I haven't gone to a restaurant in many years. But this is like, imagine it's 2017, right? There is no pandemic going on. And, you're going to the salad bar, and then like your fucking, like your mom or whatever is right next to you and like, is like, is there salad here? Like, how are we supposed to know? And there's a giant sign that says salad bar, like on the front of the fucking restaurant. Like the restaurant's called Salad Town or some fucking shit. And then like this person's like, there's salad here? What? Like, I mean, like, again, and we're supposed to just believe them. Yeah, they just didn't know. Are they all deaf and blind? They couldn't see the ceasefire now banner. They couldn't hear ceasefire now. They just didn't know. And we're supposed to believe that. Forcing police to guess intent is irresponsible and dangerous? What? What? I mean, like, I'm serious, man. These are some fucking dumbasses. So then a bunch of Democrats did this joint letter to say a bunch of bullshit. Some protesters escalated their activity in a manner that exceeded a peaceful demonstration. What does that mean? Can you show a video? Of course not. Quote, we strongly support the First Amendment right to freedom and expression and encourage anyone exercising that right to do so peacefully. But they did. And then cops beat the shit out of them. And then they tried to, I don't know, not get their fucking teeth kicked in. And then that's called violence. Right? So again, this is the kind of fucking shit that happens in the United States of America. We live in stupid town. We live in fucked upville. We live in La La Land. We live in dumbass motherfucking village. And we're supposed to just believe that these dumb-ass motherfuckers are actually the ones that are correct and morally righteous. Yeah, the giant banner that said ceasefire now, we actually had no idea what they were saying. What that, you know, none of them could read English, I guess. Maybe there were, like, you know, IDF soldiers from Israel. Then again, all the IDF soldiers only speak English, apparently, because that's all. You know, if you ever look at the IDF, like, press conferences and stuff, they're always only speaking English. Very interesting, you know, for a country where English is not the primary language. But hey, whatever, you know, going, you know. But again, this whole thing, man, of just, like, dumb motherfuckers lying to everyone, and then everyone believes them. That's the thing, like, you believe these guys. You do. If you're an American, you believe them to some extent. Like, you trusted them on COVID. Yeah, you know, the virus that destroys your immune system a lot like AIDS, it's actually healthy to get it over and over. I'm a Democrat. Vote for Joe. You actually believe them when it comes to your health and safety, right? Like, that's most Americans. So when Americans say, like, oh, I see through the bullshit on Israel-Palestine, do you? Do you really? Do you see through bullshit? Or are you just going with the flow in your social group, and your social group understands that it's bullshit, and they're all virtue signaling to each other, and you actually have no inherent critical ability to think about things independently. Because that's what it seems like. Because if you're like somebody who's like, when Joe Biden's talking about the health and safety of kids in Gaza, he's obviously lying. But when he's talking about my health and safety, he's got my best interest at heart. Really? But hey, what are you going to do? Can't think. Can't remember. More Americans say they're in a cognitive fog. Adults in their 20s, 30s, and 40s are driving the trend. Researchers point to long COVID as a major cause. Yeah. Yeah. But, like, I know that there are dumb fuck dummies in my audience. Maybe my audience circa 1 year ago. I think a lot of them have left at this point. But, hey, if they ever tune in just to see what I'm talking about, here you go. 20s, 30s, and 40s, they don't know what the fuck's going on. Why? Because they believed Joe Biden and Donald Trump, two of the most notorious liars in the history of the United States, cared about their health and safety. If you ask any average DSA person, they're going to spew Donald Trump April 2020 talking points on COVID. Why? Because Joe Biden said them. So they might say Genocide Joe when it comes to Israel-Palestine, but when it comes to COVID, no, Joe Biden is magic, and he cured it. He cured it. What's the cure? I don't know, but he cured it. How did it go away? I don't know, but it happened. And this is the thing, like when I just want to say this number is a combination of multiple numbers. Masking polls of do you wear a mask during an airborne pandemic numbers. That was about like 15% or something last one I saw. Vaccine uptake is about 6% last time I checked. Right, so I would argue that about 90-ish% of Americans believe that Donald Trump, the guy who told you to wipe bleach on your apples, and Joe Biden, the guy who told you to vote in the Wisconsin primary during the height of the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, they actually really deeply care about your health care. Yeah, in the country where healthcare is a private commodity that you have to pay for, and everyone who's in office gets funded by that industry to maintain that industry, and then they're all going to fucking get you sick with COVID so that you need more treatments and pay more money for more prescriptions. Yeah, actually, you trust them on your health and safety. But what's even worse than those kinds of stupid motherfuckers are the kinds of stupid motherfuckers that have kids and believe that Donald Trump and Joe Biden have their kids' health and safety in mind. The same parents who say shit like, I would do anything for my children. I would do anything. They say that at fucking cocktail parties or whatever the fuck they're doing, to make themselves seem so great in front of their friends and family. But when it comes to an airborne pandemic that attacks children's immune systems and makes like 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds die of cardiac arrest in gym class, I guess it turns out you wouldn't actually do anything for your children. In fact, it turns out you're not doing anything for your children. It turns out you're a lying fucking cunt. Am I allowed to say that? I haven't said cunt YouTube in a while. I might edit that part out. What is this? Hold on. Now that I'm doing this pre-recorded, I'm just gonna edit that part out. Because you get into like now this is gonna turn into a bit now. But in YouTube, is in the same category as like the N word as far as like oh god, how dare you? So unless they updated that, I'm gonna censor it anyway. It'll make a fun bit. But anyway. I'm getting a little antsy here. But anyway, let's check out this article here. There are more Americans who say that they have serious cognitive problems with remembering, concentrating, or making decisions than at any time in the last 15 years, data from the Census Bureau shows. The increase started with the pandemic. The number of working-age adults reports serious difficulty thinking has climbed by an estimated 1 million people. Not good. Not fucking good. These are the people driving cars. Yeah, they're driving cars. People that have problems thinking quickly are driving cars. These are your doctors. These are people working at nuclear power plants. These are police officers. Yeah, they just don't know how to think anymore. They have problems like thinking quickly, acting quickly. They have problems remembering basic information. These are your rail car operators. Or operator, because we slashed fucking regulations for the rail industry, so they only need like one guy there just taking a nap, and then, you know. Isn't that interesting? And what did they all have in common? They thought Donald Trump and Joe Biden cared about their health care. Wow. Incredible. About as many adults aged 18 to 64 now report severe cognitive issues as About as many adults ages 18 to 64 now report severe cognitive issues as report trouble walking or taking the stairs. I'm having some cognitive issues, apparently. For the first time since the Bureau started asking the question each month in the 2000s. So when it says 15 years, that means that they only have 15 years of data. Sometimes the way that they word this shit is a little out there, but hey, I'll take the L on that one. Percentage of working age people who had serious... Yo, are my fucking charts ad blocked? Yo, this shit fucking worked. Like fucking... Hold on. This shit fucking worked like 5 minutes ago. Before I started the show, it worked. Oh, now they're paywall. These fuckers. Oh, these fuckers. You see what they're doing? You see what they're fucking doing here? All right. So I have a graphic from Twitter, which is just what I can't see on the fucking New York Times page, but I got it here. At the top it says percent of working age people who say they had serious difficulty with walking or taking the stairs. Right? Remembering, concentrating, or making decisions. Doing basic errands outside the home. Now, if you look at walking or taking the stairs, those numbers are about stagnant. There's a little bit of a decrease, I guess. From the early aughts or mid aughts or whatever. I guess early tens. Whatever. That's whatever. Remembering, concentrating, or making decisions. Now, this one is highlighted because it's fucking wild. It's some crazy ass shit because that's skyrocketing. Doing basic errands outside the home. Slight uptick there. Worrying, right? But, still relatively within margin of error. But remembering, concentrating, or making decisions. Now, again, these are firefighters, paramedics, police officers, doctors, nuclear power plant engineers, drivers on the road, on highways. You're driving 70 miles per hour. Guess what? Some of these guys are the ones that you're going to have to count on when the 39 car pileup happens, Isn't that a little weird, a little strange? Percentage of Americans who said they had serious difficulty remembering, concentrating, or making decisions is what it says right here. Ages 45 to 64 in the gray, ages 18 to 44 in the red. Now you can see both groups having an uptick. Now, it should be noted that 45 to 64 still within somewhat of a margin of error compared to 15 years ago and now. But ages 18 to 44 fucking skyrocketing here. So these are the charts that are in that New York Times article. Now, again, are you really dumb enough to believe Joe Biden and Donald Trump care about your personal health? Because if so, feel free to go to fucking concerts. Feel free to go to restaurants. Feel free to send your kids to COVID factories. Feel free to be the dumbest fucker in the history of fuckers and die at the age of 39 from a fucking goddamn fucking heart attack. Feel free. Feel free. But think about the victims. Like the kids. I think about the kids all the time. They don't choose their parents. They didn't choose to be born into a mandatory medical experiment where they're the first generation in the history of the world after the germ theory of disease. They were born at the exact moment where the germ theory of disease fell out of science. Because that's really what we're at. We're in the new dark age. The germ theory of disease, the foundation of public health over the last 150 years, is no longer mainstream science. 90+% of humans in our society right now do not believe in the germ theory of disease, the foundation of public health. 90% of humans. Why? Because Joe Biden and or Donald Trump told them to. Why do I keep lumping those two together? They have the same exact strategy. Joe Biden has a D next to a name, so certain groups listen to him. Trump has an R next to his name, certain groups listen to him. They have the same exact policy. We are in the first era of human history after the discovery of the germ theory of disease, where the vast majority of the population does not believe in the germ. Can you blame someone in 1216 for not believing in airborne viruses? They don't even know what viruses are. They don't even know what airborne is. They don't even know what air is in 1216. They just think air is nothing. They think air is like the space vacuum because they're fucking dumb. Right? But they're not necessarily dumb. I shouldn't say that necessarily. But they were just ignorant. But now we're dumb. Now this is just some dumbass fucking shit, okay? The germ theory of disease, 150 years of modern medicine and public health. And 90-ish% of the world says, just a theory. Just a theory. Germs? Just a theory. That's 90% of humans on Earth right now. From 2% to 3.5% over 15 years in the 18 to 44 age demographic. Hello? My fucking shit just melted down. But anyway, just talking about COVID again. It has been the third leading cause of death for well over a year, well over 2 years, well over 3 years. And I'm supposed to just nod along. I'm supposed to just stop talking about COVID. The third leading cause of death. Now, it's actually a little bit of a misnomer to call it the third leading cause of death. What are 1 and 2? Heart disease and cancer. Now, COVID is one disease. Heart disease and cancer are groups, they're umbrellas of hundreds, if not over 1,000 different diseases. Like, bone cancer is a different disease than liver cancer, is a different disease than congestive heart failure, is a different disease than fucking high blood pressure, right? So these are all different, and they're all lumped into an umbrella. Now, also, COVID causes cancer, and COVID causes heart disease. So, I would argue, that's my argument, as to why COVID is the leading cause of death in America. Because, again, all different cancers originate and form and foment in different kinds of ways. And so does heart disease. There's a lot of different things under the umbrella. And there are catch-all solutions, and I think it is important to measure, heart. I feel like every organ should be tracked. Cancer, non-cancer, should be tracked in that kind of disease way. But again, COVID causes cancers to develop, and it causes heart disease. So it affects both of those first two numbers. So when the first two numbers go up and COVID doesn't, that's because they stopped counting COVID. But even though they stopped counting COVID, it's still the third leading cause of death maintained over the last year, 2 years, 3 years. And we're supposed to just pretend like that's okay. I am supposed to just pretend. Yeah, the germ theory of disease, fuck that shit, man. Fuck it. Fuck it, man. Let's go to conventions. Let's go to games done quick, man. Let's go to video convention, man. Let's go to Politiconvention, man. Let's go to these rallies and protests without masks on, bro, because we're so hip and cool and trendy, man. That's what I'm constantly told. Why? Why? What, like, is it now? There have been studies. I don't have this on top of me right now. Maybe next week I'll show it. That COVID, on average, can decrease your lifespan personally by 5 to 10 years. One COVID infection was found in a recent study to correlate with biological aging markers such as telomeres. If you don't know what that is, essentially, you gotta think of it like a fuse and dynamite. And once the fuse hits the fucking dynamite, right, and you can't regrow the fuse. Now, we're theoretically coming up with ways to essentially regrow that fuse. But as of this moment in time, in 2023, we don't really know how to do that, right? And we use that to mark, certain kinds of biological age factors, right? And so it turns out catching COVID once increases your biological age markers by 5 to 10 years. So if you're 30, you catch COVID one time, your body will act and behave as if you're 37. Doesn't that sound scary? Doesn't that sound fucking scary to you? That you could be losing 5 to 10 years of your life to go to fucking Olive Garden? Isn't that a little fucking strange to you? That's strange to me. I view that as fucking weird. I view that as creepy. But that's just one infection, man. That's just one infection. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you each infection adds another 5 to 10 years? No, because that's not what the study that I'm referencing, that I'm not showing, even says. But what I am going to tell you is getting a virus that destroys your immune system and weakens your entire body over and over and over again, and having no immunity to show for it, your immune system is worse off. That is not worth anything in the world. Now, I know that there's a certain contingent of people that just don't like hearing about it. Oh, you believe in germs? Ugh, unsubscribed. Now, I personally have made it a little bit of a mission for me over the last 3-4 months to lose as many subscribers and members and patronizers on Patreon as possible. Why? Because I don't like stupid people. That's the foundation of all of my belief structures, is I really, really do not like stupid people. And I don't want people that don't believe in germs to be consistently appearing on my material. That also, and I don't care about being popular. I don't care about the money. Like, I've lost a lot of money talking about COVID in the post-germ theory of disease world of 2023. I've lost out on a lot of money. I've lost a lot of support on Patreon. I've lost a lot of subscribers on YouTube, members and all this, and I don't care. It doesn't concern me. Money is not something I do this for. I don't give a fuck about money. I don't give a fuck about views. I don't care. I would rather have 40 views per Above It All show if I'm saying what I truly believe, because that's more valuable. So when I see the rest of the world just say germ theory of disease, IHOP. Like, I'm thinking, y'all are fucking insane. And I'm not going to stop talking about it. So feel free to unsubscribe. Feel free to shut the fuck up. I don't care. I really don't. And I don't care if I sound like a broken record on these shows, because every show sounds like a broken record. That's what news and politics is. That's what all of this is. And if I'm going to sound like a broken motherfucking goddamn record, I'm going to do something on a way that can help you personally right now, individually, instead of this grandiose, we got to really work to build an organized mass movement that will never happen so that we can, vote in an election to save democracy, or whatever the fuck other people are selling you. I don't really, yeah, sure, we should do that, but it's just really not going to happen. But are we really going to organize a left-wing movement built on eugenics? Because that's what's happening. Disabled people are not really comfortable at rallies and protests. because they don't want to get a fucking disease and die. Because your ableist, able-bodied asterisk ass doesn't want to fucking wear clothes. And the asterisk would go to for now. So make sense of that. Rewind if you need to. I made a big stink about this in June. Pride Month. Yeah, we celebrate minorities. Unless if you're disabled, then fuck off. You don't belong at Pride if you're disabled. That's the Pride Month of 2023. Where I am located, there were Pride marches. I saw them all across the country. I saw them all across Europe and other places. But if you're disabled, sorry. We don't like disabled people around here. And you know what? If I'm going to pick a team to root for and to advocate for, I'm going to pick people that seemingly have no one else rooting for them. And that's disabled people. That's sick people. That's people that need our help. That's people that feel alone. That's people that feel like the world has left them behind, because it has. DSA has left them behind. The Democratic Party has left them behind. Your cool kids communist club at your fucking local library has left them behind. Disabled people are falling by the wayside. So if I'm going to pick a subject to talk about over and over and over again, it's certainly not going to be, what is the Speaker of the House getting up to today? Don't we love his wacky antics? Because ultimately, is that important stuff to know? Yeah. But is it really important to keep up with on a daily fucking basis at the expense of things like the germ theory of disease? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And you know what? Again, controversial opinion. Genocide, not good. I don't support the killing of innocent people, whether it be for religious reasons, whether it be for capitalistic reasons, whether it be for consumerist reasons. I want to go to Barbie. I want to go to Applebee's. I want to go to Denny's. I want to go to the party. I want to go to Christmas party. I want to go to Thanksgiving. So I don't care if disabled people die, because I want to eat turkey at Thanksgiving. Yeah, I don't give a shit about you. I'm sorry. Genocide is bad. Killing innocent people is bad. I don't care how you do it. I don't care why you do it. I don't care, I'm killing innocent people because I want to go to fucking brunch with my besties. Doesn't matter to me. I want to kill innocent people because my religion told me to. Doesn't matter to me. You're all despicable. Obviously in slightly different ways. But at the end of the day, you're all fucking despicable. And I hate you all. So, there you go. And if you feel offended by this, if you feel attacked by this, I don't know, man. Think about it. What are your priorities? Again, I don't believe in genocide. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in magic. I believe in science, compassion, and care for those that are less fortunate. Now, apparently the left doesn't believe that. So, why I left the left? COVID. There you go. The right certainly doesn't believe it. Communists, self-identified groups that you can find, if you go to a communist group, a socialist group in your region, they probably don't believe disabled people have a right to exist. And, there's also a lot of disabled people, honestly, that have really shitty opinions on stuff like Israel and Palestine, right? So it's having a moral framework that's consistent, that's pretty... I don't know, man. I got binoculars. I'm looking for those motherfuckers. Oh, you think all genocide is bad? It's where's Waldo looking for these motherfuckers? I can't find them. But yeah, so does this derail my show every single time? Absolutely. But maybe it's not a derail. Maybe it's a re-rail. Think about that. But anyway, like I said, this show is going to be a little bit more mellow. It's actually, I'm recording this at night, the night before. I normally do these shows in the morning when I'm a little bit more amped up. Like I feel like last week I was really amped up, and got to balance it out a little bit, man. But again, the main reason that I started this show and why I continue doing this show is because I find value in the catharsis of speaking my mind and what I truly believe. I'm not here to be famous. I know it sounds like I'm acting like I'm dare I say, above it all. But I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to rake in the cash. I don't care about any of that. I'm here to talk about what my thoughts are on certain subjects that fascinate me at that time, and that changes throughout my life. Sometimes certain things are more interesting to me at certain points. And, if you don't like it, hop off the choo-choo train. And, I might sound like I'm saying it over and over again, but every time I upload a new Above It All, I lose subscribers. So there's still people, maybe like a couple months from now, I won't need to say that anymore. But, sometimes people, I don't know, they just they take a break, they watch a video and oh, she believes in germs. Ugh, unsubscribe? Because that's really what's happening here. Is there really a hypothetical person that, one, believes in germs, but then two, doesn't want to watch these shows? Maybe. I don't know. I can foresee it. I can see that as a possibility, I guess, but I feel like that is a lot less common than the germ anti-believers. But anyway, I don't know. There's your show for you. Democrats are fucking with us again. Can you believe it? Democrats lying? And yet people believe them when it comes to their fucking health and safety. That's the thing that blows my mind. You're willing to say, oh, Joe Biden's obviously lying about Israel? Which, again, all kinds of atrocity and injustice affects every one of us to a degree. But I would argue what's happening in Gaza affects Americans a lot less than the airborne AIDS pandemic that's destroying our immune systems every day of our lives. But now, again, I'm not saying one's more important than the other. I'm saying they're both extremely important, and they both are extremely important to understand from a historical standpoint. How did we get here? They're both extremely important to oppose morally, organizationally, institutionally. But I find it interesting that when the American leftist is asked to put a mask on, they turn into a Donald Trump supporter. Why is that, though? Well, because, again, being asked to put a mask on requires you to do something. It really does. It requires you to do something. Whereas saying, I stand with Gaza, doesn't. Now, again, I stand with Gaza in a morally consistent way. I've been shit-talking Israel for fucking years on this fucking show. So, I'm just saying, I've been there. Fuck Israel. But this idea, this fucking concept of, one, we are now living in the first time in human history where we are re-entering the dark age of disease. Public health is gone. It's officially gone. The germ theory of disease is gone from the public mainstream consciousness for the first time ever. That fucks with me. This is a very important subject that's going to be affecting me for the rest of my life. Whether or not, let's assume, best case scenario, COVID actually has a cure in the future, or a vaccine that functions similarly to the polio vaccine or something. I hope. It's possible it doesn't. But even then, the psychological damage that I have received from living in this world, seeing family get progressively sicker and sicker, and I keep telling people, The reason why you're going to the hospital over and over again is because you're catching COVID and it's destroying your body. No, COVID's not real. It's not real. It disappeared. It's magic. It's not real. How am I supposed to have a relationship with these people? Really? You don't believe in germs? And I'm supposed to have a familial relationship with you? Well, that's the thing. I don't give a shit. As far as I'm concerned, every relationship is built on trust. If I can't trust you, how can I have any kind of relationship with you? If I can't trust you? And if you don't believe in germs, I mean, like, what the fuck? How am I even supposed to trust you at the most basic level? So, and I know that there's a lot of people that are in a similar position to me, whether they're more sick or less sick or whatever, who have lost friends, who have lost family, because they've drank the Kool-Aid in a literal Jim Jones way. Come on, man, the Kool-Aid is fine. Why are you scared? It's not like it's poison or nothing. Come on, man. You ever watch those documentaries? How did people join the Jim Jones cult? How did that happen? Now we know. So I don't know. I think this is as of this Constitution, most insane moment of human history that I have been alive for. And I lived through 9/11. And what happened after 9/11. And this is way more fucked up than that. Now, I know a lot of people might get triggered. Oh, COVID's more fucked up than the war on terror destabilizing in the Middle East? Yes. Yes. Now, am I downplaying the tragedies that occurred there? No. The United States, horrible motherfucking country, did a lot of horrible fucking shit. But that's the thing. Imagine trusting the same government that lied us into Iraq and Afghanistan when it comes to your health care, when it comes to your physical health and your mental health. You trust the same motherfuckers that held up the fake fucking weapon of mass destruction at the UN. You trust those same guys. You trust Donald Trump, George W., Barack, and Joe. Some of the worst motherfuckers in the history of our fucking modern world. And when it comes to your health, you're like, well, why would they ever lie to me? I know, I've said it many times, but like, I literally cannot stop thinking about this because it's fucking crazy to me. It's fucking crazy. So anyway, there's your show. Thank you all for observing me on this fine day. That's all I got. So, ooh.